Ever feel like you suck at this job? Motherhood, I mean. Have too much anxiety and not enough patience? Too much yelling, not enough play? There's no manual, no village, no guarantees. The stakes are high. We want so badly to get it right. But this is survival mode. We're just trying to make it to bedtime. So if you're full of mom guilt, your temper scares you, you feel like you're screwing everything up, and you're afraid to admit any of those things out loud, this podcast is for you. This is Failing Motherhood. I'm Danielle Bettman, and each week we'll chat with a mom ready to be real, sharing her insecurities, her fears, her failures, and her wins. We do not have it all figured out. That's not the goal. The goal is to remind you, you are the mom your kids need. They need what you have, you are good enough, and you're not alone. I hope you pop in earbuds, somehow sneak away, and get ready to hear some hope from the trenches. You belong here, friend. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to Failing Motherhood, friends. My name is Danielle Bettman, and this will be a solo episode. I am going unscripted and just from my heart today. I just feel like I need to share with you a little bit of story time, some real talk. I had originally planned for this episode to be a pep talk so that I could really, share some of the inspiration and the motivation that I feel like, is what my clients need to hear. One of my clients was saying that, after having a session, she just wanted to be able to have it recorded so that she could listen to it over and over. And I said, yeah, that would be a great idea for a podcast. So that didn't happen. Instead, the last 2 weeks have been a little bit of a whirlwind. And so I'm going to share more about that. And I just feel like maybe we're both not ready for a pep talk today. We just need some real talk. So I don't know about you, but the world's a little crazy. The news has not stopped being crazy, and it's a lot. And on a daily basis, I feel like I hear things that are frustrating, that send me into a spiral of feeling helpless, struggling with like the existential things like climate change and just overall injustice and just still the pandemic raging in other places of the world. And it's really hard to go on with like the day-to-day life, having that feeling like it's piled on your shoulders on top of the already exhausting mental load of family stuff and raising kids and just all of that. So 2 weeks ago, we adopted 2 rabbits. And the short story of that is that we had friends that went to my daughter's school. They had posted on the Facebook group that they had to move away, would not be able to take the bunnies with them. One was 2 years old, one was 1. They were super simple to take care of. They had a little outdoor hutch and run that we'd be able to, get with them. I asked a few questions. They seemed like a good fit for us, care maintenance wise and like allergy wise and just all the things. So I was drawn to them right away with their pictures. They're so darn cute that I was like, yes, my girls have been begging for pets forever. As a reminder, my daughters are 8 and 7 at this point, and we had been talking about a bird or a turtle or something else. And so this just seemed like the perfect fit. So 2 weeks ago, we got these rabbits, basically delivered to our house when our friends were on their way out of town. And immediately we were in that, panic of what do we do? How do we take care of these bunnies? They don't trust us. Are they eating enough? Are they too lethargic? What are we supposed to do, right? We tried to let them out in our yard, and immediately I was more afraid of them running away. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun to hang out with them, and, they're so soft. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So that lasted a couple days, and then one of the bunnies started to get really sick, and it his eye was all goopy and he was sneezing, and just immediately I Googled all the things and they were very dire and very urgent. And so I figured out how to call the vet that they had a connection with. We ended up having to basically call later and get like an urgent care visit because he wasn't eating. And the panic that I felt trying to keep this bunny alive and, worrying about something happening to it, not only for our friend's sake, but for my kid's sake and for us. Like, we had just fallen in love. And so we ended up taking him. He was diagnosed with like a respiratory infection and a pink eye, basically. And so now we were tasked with not only caring for these brand new to us rabbits that are very skittish. They're like prey animals, so they're afraid of everything, and they're super afraid of us because they don't know us. Now I have to give this bunny eye drops and antibiotics, like oral antibiotics through a syringe. And I promise there's a point to this story eventually. I just have to get it off my chest. So now we have to give this bunny eye drops and antibiotics, and it went terribly. Right? Like, the YouTube videos say that you just like wrap up the bunny in a blanket burrito and then he'll just like take it, no problem. Yeah, not this bunny. It was, I was just like, how hard is it to keep an animal alive that apparently doesn't want to stay alive because it's like, it won't care for itself. It won't let us care for it. Ugh. So then, and it started turning a corner a little bit, at least that we were able to get the eye drops in, no problem. And that didn't seem to bother him. But the antibiotics, we got very hit or miss. We were trying to have him lick them up, trying to like stick it in food, trying to mash it up into things. It was genuinely a disaster. But we got him feeling better, and we had to go on the family vacation that we had planned for like a month or two prior to getting these rabbits. And so it was just a 3-day trip. And we had friends that were also like, interested in the rabbits. And so they were very happy to take them on for, the 3 days we were gone. So they took them over. We took them over to their house, gave them all the instructions, typed up 2 full pages of everything we know so far about these rabbits and how to keep them alive and take care of them. And I was telling my friend, I'm like, it feels like, the first time we have a date night, post baby, or like, first time we're going out of town and leaving a baby with a grandparent. Like, I think they'll be okay. I'm just so nervous, And so we went on vacation. 2 days into the vacation, my friend ended up calling and sharing very tearfully that one of the other bunny, the one that we didn't think was sick, had died. And this, of course, was devastating to hear. And it's now been not even a week yet, and it's still very raw processing this bunny that I only got to know for a week and a half. But it was hard to tell the girls. It was hard to come home and need to bury him. It was hard to know that he was leaving a brother bunny that he had been bonded to, and they become very lonely. It was very hard to know that, our friends had gone through this traumatic instance where we really didn't have a lot of answers as to what happened to the bunny, and everybody's just sad all around. And I've just had a really hard time with this whole experience being a pet owner so far. And now the bunny that we still do have, his other eye, the one that like didn't have pink eye, is now like sealing up completely. And we have to take him back to the vet because we think he has like a clogged tear duct. And like they're going to have to like put him under to like flush it out. And oh my gosh, like it has not ended. And I'm telling you this story because so much of this 2-week experience has been just like new parenting and motherhood. Because what we expected and what we have been through have been completely different expectations. And it has been so much love but yet so much fear, so much stress, so much anxiety, so much just like thoughts and worries. And oh, my heart is just so heavy because essentially like our worst case scenario has already happened for one of the bunnies. And I've been thinking over and over about how this wasn't the way it was supposed to be. This was not what I signed up for. And I'm so sad for essentially the dream I had in my head of like what owning these bunnies were supposed to be and how they were supposed to be brothers and how, they were supposed to be brothers and for my girls who were sisters, and it was going to be this whole thing when they each have one. And, they're supposed to grow up together and then we're supposed to have 2 bunnies. And I think like the one bunny was like licking the other bunny's ear to like keep it healthy. And I don't know what to do with these feelings of feeling so like this isn't what it was supposed to be like. And I don't want it to stay like this. And what do I do? And how do I keep taking care of this bunny? Because we love him, but we have to basically scare him to take care of him the way that we need to by like wiping down his eye and things. And it feels so sad to be losing his trust while trying to build his trust at the same time, because every time we need to be like, we're trying to let him know like we're here for him and we care for you, but at the same time, I need to take care of you and this is going to hurt. And how many times have we been in that place as parents of feeling like we're doing things out of their good and out of great intentions, but they aren't on board and don't see that side of it, and we feel like the bad guy. And so much, of course, of this whole parenting thing was not how it was supposed to be, and it's not what we signed up for. And of course, we wouldn't go back and do it differently. And we love the heck out of these little people, but trying your best to do what you feel like is best for someone that you love deeply, that you don't feel like they get it, they don't reciprocate it back, and it still at the end of the day feels so out of your control and you feel so helpless about it. That's grief. And that grief is a roller coaster and a cycle, and it's genuinely just hard. It just sucks. That's the thing. It's like there's not a lot of answers. So I've been reflecting through a lot of this caring for these bunnies journey about, I had a client that emailed me that was pretty distraught about potty training and feeling like there wasn't anything she could do to get her son to stop having accidents on number 2, and he was regressing, and it just felt like a giant nightmare of cleaning up accidents and screaming at him out of desperation and helplessness and frustration and exhaustion, of course, added in there. And I just told her the story. I'm like, not that bunnies are the same as people, but like, I feel like I'm at that same place right now. And you're not wrong to feel that way. You are normal to feel that way. And you're not alone. And what I ultimately recommended for her was to just accept that he's struggling in this area right now and he's not ready to overcome it. And it's better for you to be able to care for him in a way that is less messy and less frustrating for your relationship. Because ultimately your relationship is the biggest, component of parenting and our influence, and the thing we need to prioritize over the obedience or the strategies in the moment. But I just wanted this episode to be a little bit of story time and a little bit of real talk from me to you, because things have not been going according to plan. And things are not easy. They have not been easy at all. An understatement of the century in 2020. But I don't feel like they're getting a whole lot easier. And I think it's that, we will always put off things until we have more time, or, as soon as I get through this week, things are going to settle down and they'll smooth out and I don't need, I'll be able to start that new thing next week or next month. And I think a lot of our mindset over the last year has been, I just need to get through this day. I just need to get through this week. I just need to get through this month. I just need to get through this pandemic. And we're still struggling. I haven't been to yoga classes very often at all. I haven't been working out nearly as much as I had in the beginning of the pandemic. And that is my thing that keeps me sane. I have tried to get back to things that I know that I love, like a book club or, a date night and things like that. The escape for the family vacation was much needed, and I'm very glad that we still made it happen. But of course, there's things that that were the what ifs of what if we would have been home? What if we, could we have prevented things? But I just wanted to resonate with you. If you're feeling like you're still in survival mode, you're still trying to come to terms with what parenting looks like right now, and if you're also very overwhelmed by the constant barrage of anxiety-producing news in the world and things that are changing, right? I guess the only thing we can count on in the world is change, but it does not make it any easier. It is, we are parenting in a very, very hard time. And I just think that naming that doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't solve any of our problems, but we do need to take that into account and realize what impact that has on our mindset and on our anxiety and on our patience level and our ability to care for ourselves and know what we need. I know we need to think about, not only what our kids need, but what we need. But sometimes it's just genuinely impossible to quiet the noise enough to be able to tune inward and know what we need without it just being a complete cop-out escape, short-term fix, like a glass of wine. And if you don't know me very well, my husband's alcoholic. I try not to rely on that in the least for a coping mechanism. So what then, right? And so I asked on my Instagram stories, what are you doing? Or, do you feel a heightened sense of responsibility and or anxiety parenting in this time period, knowing that the news stories aren't going away and, there's just a lot of change and unrest, whether that's political, whether that's racial, whether that is climate change, whether that's the pandemic, take your pick, really. Just this past weekend in Nebraska, where I live, we had a storm with, hurricane gust winds, and it took out trees anywhere and everywhere, and there's still people without power 3 to 4 days later. And, that's not a normal thing. We haven't had giant parking lots full of trees from, and down branches from the neighborhood, and, like our kids helping clean up the field and things like that's not a normal occurrence. But we were walking on the way home and I was telling my husband, like, this is not going to be the last time this happens, right? Like, this is just the way that things are going. And if that's true, if you feel like we are living in a time where things are continuing to get more and more layered, more and more complicated, more and more like the responsibility and the pressure is going to continue to build just because of the years that we're living in. If you feel like that's true, what do we do about it? And that was the question I asked in my Instagram stories. What are you doing about it? And there were some great responses of people talking about that, I shut off the news and I am, doing things for myself. There were other moms that were saying, I'm really feeling that right now, to be honest, and, don't know what to do about it. And so if that's you and I would really just want to challenge you to try to get enough of a retreat like Justine Soanes talks about in the Sustainable Self-Care episode. Get enough of a retreat so that you can turn inward. Do something that helps you get in tune with your inner voice, whether that's journaling, whether that's venting to someone else, and, friend, therapist, whatever, and be able to figure out, what do I do? What is my plan? How am I going to continue to parent at this level, taking care of myself, providing for my family, being able to keep up with the daily barrage if none of it is going away? And I think what that answer will be for a lot of us is to continue to build up that support system around us with, friendship connections, or leaning on just a few other people, being able to feel confident and empowered in some of the choices that we're making, that they are the best choices for our family. And ultimately, I think one of the most valuable things that I do when I provide services and sessions for the families I work with is genuinely being a true advocate, listening ear that validates the hard, validates and normalizes your responses, your feelings, what that is looking like in your family, and just saying, of course, that response is 100% understandable. Yes, it does feel like that right now. And being on their team, on their side, and being able to be someone that you can take their advice or be able to plan a next step together because you know that they get it. And that, I think, is one of the most powerful things to have in your pocket right now, is a person who gets it, that is able to say, yes, I've been there yesterday. Yes, it is normal to feel that way. You are not alone. Yes, this is not going away. What do we do about it? What options do we have? What do we think is really going on here? How can we work toward a long-term solution and provide the baby steps to get there with the accountability to get there in an absolutely digestible amount of time, setting up a foundation that you feel like you can stand on? Because ultimately, I think with this whole rabbit thing, I didn't have any footing. I had no foundation. I had not Googled anything about rabbits until we got them. And now I feel like I'm watching YouTube videos and I'm trying to piece together information and match what the printout from the vet says with the paper that we got from the friends that, knew them so well, and just feeling so confused. And that confusion just only spiraling the anxiety more, second guessing everything we're doing. And if I would have felt like I had a expert of somebody I could ask all these million questions to, that was able to hold my hand and say, this is normal behavior for a rabbit, this is not, this is a red flag, this is what you should do about it, and here's how you're going to make sure that they're having a healthy diet over time. Here's how you're going to make sure that your relationship with them is bonding and setting you up for success for the rest of their rabbithood. I know I actually had Zoomed with a friend last Saturday and totally had forgotten until she mentioned it that she had gotten a rabbit like 6 months ago. And I could have cried tears of relief because I was like, yeah, thank you. Someone who gets it. Someone who could talk to me about rabbit problems. She didn't even have like the same breed or anything, and didn't have two, and hadn't dealt with any of the complex things that we had yet. But it was such a relief to know somebody else that I know has even more resources and things that they could connect me with, and I could reach out. I could have somebody I could talk to. So if my whole long story time real talk has resonated at all with you, I would love to know, because I probably shouldn't even podcast or publish this episode. I'm not even going to really edit it very well. I'm just going to send it out there in hopes that it's something that you needed to hear. And, vulnerability is my thing. So I'm sitting here with very tear-stained mascara in my robe, just trying to throw a podcast out there into the world, because I feel like it matters ultimately. And I know that you need a voice, even if it's not a voice that's telling you everything's awesome, everything's going to be okay, I have all the answers, and, we can solve all your problems. Even if it's just simply someone saying, I'm having a hard time too. Sometimes we just need that. But if you feel like, your inner voice is saying something to the effect of, I need more support, I need more answers, I need to feel like somebody hears me and gets me, and at the end of the conversation can point me in the right direction, where I feel less in my head, less panicky, less like I am screwing everything that's important up in my life and giving scraps and crumbs of my energy and my patience to my kids. If that's at all resonating with you, then reach out, and I would love to talk to you, because you are my people. If you have a strong-willed child, if you have a marriage that you want to get on the same page about parenting and try to meld those styles and hear the same things, share the same language. If you just want to have more patience and feel like you're not able to get there on your own, and you've tried things to improve your kids' behavior, which is probably in a normal realm, but you just still find yourself at your wit's end all the time with the hitting or the talking back or the aggression and the big emotions. Just, you've been in survival mode for over a year and a half now. Of course, you're going to feel like you're having a time. If you've moved, if you had a new baby, if you have started a new school scenario or homeschooled or virtual schooled, if you've done any of those things, if you've changed your work situation, if your kids have changed the daycare, they are going to be having a hard time, and so are you. It's so normal right now. So do not limit yourself from seeking out a resource or asking for help or connecting with something that you feel like resonates with you because of holding yourself back, that you're the only one. Abso-freaking-lutely not, okay? You are not the only one. I would list off all of the biggest fears of my clients, the goals of my clients, and where they're at now and what we've been able to accomplish together, but you don't need to hear that. I just want you to know that there is hope, even if one of your bunnies dies, which is not happening at your house, but I'm sure that there's some sort of a parenting correlation to that. But just know, as non-inspiring as this episode has been, I am rooting for you. I do believe that you're doing an amazing job. I think that you are a way better parent than you're probably giving yourself credit for. And just the fact that you are finding the time to listen to something like this and this long into it, if you are worried about how you're doing as a parent, or you're worried about the habits that your family's gotten into or the behaviors your kids are exhibiting, and you are projecting that anxiety into the future and wondering what that's going to lead to, then you're a good parent who's worried about the right things. And that is something. That's a really big something. So give yourself credit for that. Look for a small win today. Look for some progress in the right direction. Find the momentum and the change in the direction that you want it to be when you see it. And absolutely take a next step to ask yourself what you need right now and do that thing. So, thank you for coming on this journey with me. I believe in you, and I'm cheering you on. Schedule a free Sanity and Solutions call using the link in the show notes if anything that I've said resonates with you. Listen to the free masterclass, Chaos to Calm, as another resource, and be sure to follow me on Instagram and leave a review for the podcast. Thanks for listening, friends. You can do hard things.